Over the last few days, I've been thinking about whether or not I'd like to continue making Paladins content. The Assembly of Champions disaster left a very, very bad taste in my mouth, and quite frankly, I wish it didn't, despite what many want to believe. I wanted the Assembly to do well, really, I did. I don't know where anyone gets the idea that I actually, unironically, go around wishing the absolute worst on the developers and the game I play regularly. If that were the case, I wouldn't have been making videos about it almost every week. When I like something, I criticize it to hell and back, because I want it to be as perfect as can be, because I want to see it improve, and because I want to see it succeed. And with the way Hi-Rez has been handling things recently, it makes me believe it's not going to. And I realized that if you've just watched Kami's video, he ended with like that same sentence almost. And the funny thing is that this script was made like 2 days ago. I just haven't had the time to actually record it. So now I sound like I'm going to be a copycat. But it's okay, because Kami took screenshots of things from my video. So I guess it evens out. But yeah, all this was scripted 2 days ago. I just don't have the time to record it. From unnecessary changes in the game to not following their own rules on a community vote, everything about them just screams unprofessional. Now, I'm sure at some point after hearing this, at the very least a few people are going to either make a response video or leave a comment calling me a hypocrite for wanting professionalism where it should already be when not displaying it myself. But the thing is, see, Hi-Rez is a company. I'm just a guy. A loud guy with the subtlety of an 18-wheeler. A guy that is passionate about what he likes. This channel, it was never meant to give off a professional vibe to begin with. Yelling, screaming, whining, complaining, throwing a hissy fit, as some people would call it, it's my shtick. It's what keeps people watching my videos. It's an exaggeration on how I truly feel. It's an act. I'm an entertainer. Not everyone thinks of this as entertainment, but a good amount of you do. If you want to see how laid back I am on a daily basis, go check out the Bolt casts. I don't scream there. I've never considered YouTube as a career. I started the channel one day because I was bored and got irritated that no one read an extremely long forum post I wrote on the Overwatch forum because they were too busy discussing character sexuality, claiming the wrong heroes were overpowered, and asking Blizzard to add emotes where the Overwatch heroes take off their shoes. My point is this. I want Paladins to do well. I want Hi-Rez to fix and improve their game. Probably more so than the employees themselves, because when I latch onto something I like, I don't want to let go. I don't want to see it change, drastically anyway, and I don't want it, most importantly, to leave. I don't want another Hi-Rez game killed off by poor decisions, poor PR, and lack of any sort of quality control. I forgot who said it, but in an interview regarding tribes, one of the Hi-Rez developers at the time mentioned that the game wasn't making a profit and was at best making enough to break even. I can't confirm or deny that claim, I'm just taking their word for it, but what I can say is that the game would have been in a much better state and would have had a much longer lifespan if they didn't just start changing things just to change them. Both tribes and global agenda were plagued with both horrible PR and poor decision making, and in the end, cost them big time. And that wasn't the only time it happened either. Remember Realm Royale? Remember how fun it was until they started changing base game mechanics that differentiated it from the competition, just like I claimed they would? Remember when the CEO of Hi-Rez made fun of people on stream for not liking these changes? How about in Paladins, when they added an unfinished emote, or more recently with the 2.01 patch, unlock the item shop to allow you to buy more than one item per category. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I don't think it's a good idea, but like I said before, we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But do you remember any of those things? Because I sure do. They're still fresh in my mind. And they haunt me every time I play a Hi-Rez game. Speaking of, like, the chair situation in particular, yeah, it's not as big of a fuck-up as other things, but still, could you imagine another company doing this? Like, Blizzard? Well, no, see, you can't, because they wouldn't. Because regardless of how fucked their company and situation is, Blizzard is known for their Blizzard polish first and foremost. But the point is, if Blizzard did do something like that, they'd fix it right away. They'd make it right. Looking past the Diablo Immortal thing, Blizzard fixes shit quick if it doesn't have to do with, say, balance, because appearance to them is everything. I want that with Hi-Rez. I want to not have to wait months just to get something as simple as a chair added to an emote when it was already finished and it already should have been added to the game. I don't know what it is with Hi-Rez, but it's like they enjoy doing things that will cause controversy because it gets people to talk about their game. And it works, it really does. I mean, the last few days is proof of that. But when you do this time after time, again and again, people start to catch on. There's a reason why Hi-Rez is known as the company that kills its own games. It's because they do. And yes, Smite and Realm Royale are still technically alive, but how alive are they really? I can't speak for Smite myself, but I've heard here and there that the game isn't really doing too hot and doesn't receive content updates outside of skins and maybe balance patches every once in a while. And as it is right now, Realm Royale is hanging by a thread. Most of the games are filled with bots. I just want to know whose fault is this? Like, is it the CEO? Is it him and everyone in his little inner circle? Is it something that they're doing that rubs off on their employees that leads to this unprofessionalism? Or is it just something in the water over there? I can't tell. What I can say is that these kinds of things have been happening for a very, very long time, and all I want is for it to stop. Please, just stop. I didn't want to use this as an example because the drama finally started to settle down, but then again, Kami just made his video, and I guess the drama's gonna start again, so you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna ignore this next part of the script and just, read the following sentence, because I tried, okay? I tried. I really tried. Like I said, I wrote this like a few days ago. I didn't want to start anything, and everything started without me, so now I gotta hop on this shit. Anyway, I'm not using it to initiate a witch hunt, as a few people would put it, even though there wasn't one to begin with, but I'm going to say this anyway. The other day, with the Assembly of Champions, we were told that the rules were updated months ago. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for the sake of this video and argument, and say I believe them, okay? So, for right now, I'm just saying I believe them. If they were updated months ago, why did it take so long to upload them? Why was it uploaded after people spotted an issue? If something like this happened where I used to work, I would have been fired immediately. No questions asked. And I didn't even work for a big company. And I'm not saying I want to see anyone get fired, for fuck's sake, because I know if I don't mention that, someone's gonna put words in my mouth like they did before. But it's just that with Hi-Rez, at least from what I've seen, they don't show that they grasp how bad of a mistake this was. It's basically a PR blunder, and it was supposed to be the complete opposite. They screwed up on a very simple thing for what could have potentially been a very important position, but like I said before, and like Kami said in his video, we sincerely doubt it, but let's just say for the sake of argument, it was supposed to be a very important position. You know? They screwed that up. And they admit that they made a mistake. And they admit they didn't follow their own rules. So what do? They make another vote instead of just following their own rules. Like, what? You admit that Pixie Kitty wasn't allowed to run. So then you make another vote asking if she can run when the actual voting for the election isn't even over? Like, what? And then you only put it in a Reddit thread? And you only leave that vote up for like 4 hours? Like, what? Like, to me, this says that it was rigged. Because if that wasn't the case, why would this second set of polls need to come out? Why? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you apologize and say you messed up and say you're sorry and admit you didn't follow the rules, why would you continue to break them, and why would you continue to push this agenda that you want to, like, I don't even know if I'm using the word correctly because I'm just getting so upset. You admit that you fucked up, but then you're like, okay, we know we fucked up, but are you guys sure you don't want ex-employees to participate? Because we want to be sure. And then it's like you make a 4-hour poll that you only mention in that Reddit post, meaning that only like the 500 or so people got to decide the future of the AOC. Hi-Rez wasn't on the best terms with the players for a while now, and if anything, my previous video on the matter just made people realize what they did was wrong. I admit that it's partially my fault that a shitstorm occurred, but I refuse to apologize for any of it because I didn't do anything wrong. I assessed the situation beforehand, screen capped posts, did my research, and reported on what actually happened, and gave my opinion on what I think was happening. Regardless of what the case may be in the end, I never encouraged anyone to harass anyone, and I even left a comment when I uploaded the video to not attack anyone. In response, just like I said in the last video, a few people on Reddit started witch hunting myself and another individual because we called Hi-Rez out on their mistake and witch hunted Kitty. Like, what? I didn't enable any of that shit. My fan base, they could do what they want. I'm not responsible for them. Besides, I find it very hard for anybody to be witch hunting her if she deleted her Twitter, like, as soon as everything started, so I don't know how people got in contact with her. Just to go further prove my point, it couldn't have been on Twitter because she was hosting other people on her Twitter channel. I don't even know how that works because I don't use Twitter and I've never really watched Twitter, but still, she was hosting other people on her Twitter channel, and the only other way you could have gotten in contact with her directly is through a Discord server, and her Discord server's link was removed, so she's probably lying about being harassed and receiving death threats and all this other stuff. And I've heard from a few sources, and while I was doing my research, that this wasn't the first time that she's acted like this. In fact, I think there was like a lot of drama when she got let go from the team about a year ago to begin with, so I mean, according to a lot of people, this isn't a first-time thing, and she's just making a fool of herself. And before I even started writing this video, I just want to put out there on the record that I kind of felt bad about the things that I said in that video, like just the overall video, but then when Hi-Rez Alyssa went and made that secondary poll asking if we wanted ex-employees to be allowed in the competition, I did like a 180. I'm like, no, this shit is rigged. This has to be rigged. There's no reason for that to be there. So, whatever. And also, I'm just throwing this in here randomly because I didn't know where else to fit it in the script. I have a message for the people that were witch hunting me on Reddit, and most importantly, this one person in particular. If you're going to try and make me look bad, at least do it the right way. Posting things that are true in the bottom panel didn't help your situation. In fact, it actually benefited mine. Because let's be real here. Svastika didn't do anything wrong. He just liked playing the game with his cousin. The company is incompetent because they can't even remember to upload a PDF file or follow their own written rules listed on both PDFs. Hi-Rez does like to make questionable decisions to kill their own games, Tribes, Hands of the Gods, and Rome Royale being perfect examples, and a certain someone was favored by Hi-Rez because if that wasn't the case, the emergency second poll wouldn't have been made in the first place. Like, honestly, when I saw this, I laughed. Was I not supposed to? Either way, it's going in the folder with all the other pictures people make of me. Anyway, I've rambled on far too long already. The point I'm trying to get across here is, if you're going to do something, do it, and do it right. And if you say you're going to do it in a certain way, do it that way. Otherwise, you look like an idiot, and you're a liar. I can't say Hi-Rez doesn't listen to the player base, because if I did, I'd be a liar, but I want them to listen more, and I want them to listen well, and I want the player base to be more critical of them. I don't want whoever wins the Assembly of Champions to be the only one Hi-Rez should be getting feedback from. Because again, my point still stands that it's not the assembly members' job to do Hi-Rezes. The development team is filled with talented people that want to put out great things because, let's be real here, no one wants to create a pile of shit. I think we can all agree that it's just something higher up that's keeping them from doing their best. It clearly shows. It's either that or somebody seriously needs to just, organize them because they're just, it's incredible. Like, I don't even know how this company is still in business sometimes. I just don't want Hi-Rez to become Blizzard, so out of touch with its player base that it ends up pulling a Diablo Immortal, losing fans left and right, and becomes a laughingstock of the gaming industry because they were already there once, and I'd hate to see them there again, because then we'd be laughingstocks for playing their game. I realize that to new players, my videos may come across as hateful and may very well encourage them to not play at all, but that's not my intent and never was. I don't want to drive people away from the game. I want the opposite. It's just that sometimes you gotta do drastic things to get your point across to make things happen. But the only reason why things like this happen in the first place is because we care enough about what we enjoy to the point where we get furious when something isn't right, which is exactly what it was. I wasn't pissed because an ex-employee was participating. I couldn't care less who it was. I was pissed because Hi-Rez laid out rules, broke their own rules, failed to update them, shown us they didn't really care about their own rules, backpedaled, lied, and instead of admitting they were wrong and rectifying the issue, they admitted they were wrong and egged us on with an additional poll. Did I get what I wanted in the end? No, because they didn't follow their own rules and instead let the community decide on the fate of the ex-employees and the current partners. If they updated the rules beforehand and announced it publicly, I wouldn't have had a problem with it at all. 100%. It's just, come on, man. Do I really have to explain it again? Just follow your fucking rules, Hi-Rez. If you can't follow your own rules, why should we follow them too? Be a role model, for fuck's sake. Anyway, that's about it for this video. I've got some cooling down to do after this, so hopefully by next week everything gets back to the way it was so I can find other things to complain about in Paladins. I'm not even going to do the outro for this video. You all know what the deal is. I just woke up a few, maybe 15, 20 minutes ago, so, I've been mumbling through this video, so if it sounds like I've been mumbling, it's because I have a dry mouth, and my throat hurts, and I haven't had my cigarette this morning, and I need to have my coffee, and I'm just so disheveled right now. Anyway, subscribe if you haven't, and the Discord and Twitter links are down in the description. You know what to do. I'll see you on Sunday. Also, before I go, don't discredit those with loud voices. They're usually the most genuine. That's all I have to say.